AITA for saying I don't want to plan my friend's birthday after not being invited to her wedding? Throwaway account. Okay, so I first met my friend Jane, F29, studying abroad. We were really good friends during our travels, and after college we actively stayed in touch, visiting each other in our respective different cities. I met her BF Bob, now husband, when they first started dating, and have met her college friends and parents. Bob and Jane decided to move to my city right before COVID, so during lockdown we were in each other's bubbles. We've celebrated each other's birthdays, we've had Friendsgiving, Christmas parties together, etc. 2021, Bob and Jane got engaged in August, and when they came back I threw them an engagement party. I bought her this wine glass that said, "Wedding Planning Wine Glass," and every time she used it she would text me a photo of her with it. In 2022 I threw Bob a 30th birthday party. But then this was also the first year I wasn't invited to her birthday. I had texted Bob asking what the plan was and had told me they were going out of the state for her birthday. However, on Instagram I seen them posting pictures of them renting a cabin with some friends. So I felt awkward. Then I wasn't invited to the bachelorette party. I didn't find this too big of a deal because Jane has some really close childhood friends and sorority friends, but then nothing about the wedding. The wedding happened this May and it was a big wedding. Like 200 people probably, and I wasn't invited. I was really hurt to say the least, but I didn't say anything. I just tried to move on. I haven't talked to them really since before the wedding. They didn't wish me a happy birthday and they couldn't attend my birthday shindig cause they were out of town. I'm noticing that if I don't reach out to either of them, they don't reach out to me at all. Now Bob has reached out and asked me to plan Janine's birthday party cause he says I'm the best at planning these things, and I told him I was hurt about not being invited, and he said, well, we had limited space, don't make it a big deal, we want you Toby at her birthday. I really don't want to do it, and I don't really feel any desire to be friends with them. Am I being a petty a-hole? Edit. To clarify about the Bob's birthday party, Jane asked me to help plan it. That was the last time I've seen them in person, March 2022. AITA for grounding my son after he told his sister he doesn't love her during family therapy. My ex-wife and I have 2 children together, our 14-year-old daughter and 16-year-old son. About 9 months ago, my wife decided she never wanted to be mother, divorced me, and basically signed away her rights to the kids. We get child support and that's it. Obviously this has been extremely hard on them, and I have them in both QQ individual and family therapy to try and help them work through this. The issue is my son blames his sister. She's sometimes your typical moody teen, even thought she's really a wonderful kid. Her and her mother had been fighting a lot before she left, and my son thinks despite me and 2 therapists telling him otherwise that she's responsible for it. They've been fighting constantly, destroying each other's stuff and constantly screaming at each other. They've probably spent 3/4 of the past 9 months grounded for this. Family therapy hasn't been going well because of this. My son refuses to engage when it comes to his sister, and won't hear any talk that this isn't her fault. Things finally blew up 2 weeks ago, when the family therapist was at least trying to bring him down from fighting with her. The therapist basically said something like, I know you still love your sister, and my son cut him off and said, no I don't, I'd still have a mother if it wasn't for her. While looking right at her, the session was more or less over after that. None of us knew what to say and my daughter looked so broken. When we left I told my son he's grounded, full stop, until the new school year starts. No phone, no friends, nothing. Things have been even worse at home. He won't even acknowledge she exists, and will leave the room if she enters. My own therapist said this was a mistake to punish him for speaking his mind, but I don't think he should be allowed to be so hurtful. AITA for kicking my sober Bill out of my barbecue. I, 31 meters, and my wife Gal, 30F, recently bought our first house, and yesterday we hosted our first big BBQ with both sides of the family and friends. Gal's brother Jim, 26 meters, has been sober for 5 months. Alcohol and Xanax mostly. I don't like Jim. Besides that, he's generally an annoying person, has struggled with his drinking and pills for many years and did all kinds of up hit to everyone around him. Lots of theft and trespassing, to keep it brief. He's sober now, lives with his, Gal's, mom, and I guess he is getting his life together, though he still isn't working or dealing with his court stuff, so IDK what exactly that entails. He's become absolutely insufferable in his sobriety. Everything is about Jesus or sobriety, which I could make peace with, but he also has made it a habit of trying to save everyone around him from the dangers of alcohol. Every visit turns into a sermon or him walking around asking personal questions about people's drinking habits, insisting they need to reconsider their relationship with alcohol. I specifically told Gal that if Jim was invited to this barbecue that she was going to call Jim and tell him that we wanted none of his preaching there. She got on the phone with him, but she was beating around the bush, so I asked her to put it on speaker and told him, "Jim, you are invited, but you will not talk about sobriety unprompted to any guests. You're not a doctor or a counselor or nothing, so just don't." "I don't want to hear a word," both Gal and Jim said they understood. Well, the barbecue starts. Everyone's having a good time and my uncle shows up. I offer him a beer and he says something like, "After this week, I'ma need something stronger, boy. Where's the brown stuff?" On ucking cue, Jim says something like, "I don't know." Kind of concerning that that's how you choose to deal with a bad week, no? I straight up say, "Hey Jim, how about you grab your stuff and get out of here?" He says, "Oh come on. I didn't mean it like that." I say, "Jim, I'm not asking you twice. Get the hell out of here. I've known this man my whole life and you just called him a drunk in front of my family, so you can leave." He tried to defend himself and I just say, "I asked for not a word, Jim." Everyone days I am the awe for not even giving a chance or letting him apologize, but I think I was clear enough. So AITA? And #X200B. Edit. Later on when Sills and Gal kept going back to the point. "Jim did not call your uncle a drunk," and I kept saying, "He sure did. If he's saying my uncle deals with his issues with booze, then you're calling him a drunk." They say I'm putting words in his mouth and that's not fair. I said he's the one calling out people for problem drinking. What's he think people are going to think he's calling them? AITA for telling my daughter her disease is not an excuse to neglect her responsibilities. My daughter, 17F, got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes late April. Her DX wasn't really dramatic or anything. My stepsister has had it since she was a child, so when I noticed that she was drinking a lot I immediately brought her to the doctor and here we are. I can honestly say we've adjusted pretty well. My stepsister came over when she came home and helped us out a lot. My daughter is old enough that she can handle most of it on her own. Here's the problem. Ever since her DX she has completely stopped taking care of anything around the house. We have quite a few animals that she and her siblings, 6 and 9, share the responsibilities of. They have had to step up a ton because she won't even feed the dogs anymore. Because they are so young, there's a lot of things that they cannot physically do. I am a single mom who had to get a second job to pay for her insulin. Obviously I don't hold that against her, it's not her fault, but I don't have the time for the animals. Not to mention her grades are all Fs now. The other day I hit a breaking point and basically told her that if she doesn't start helping out, I will start rehoming the animals that her siblings can't handle. She had a total breakdown telling May have no idea what she's going through and how hard it is. I told her it's not an excuse to completely neglect everything and that she had to get her hit together or the animals will be finding new homes. She ran out the room crying. Anda's spoken about 3 words to me since then. I understand that this disease is a lot to handle, and I'm trying to be as supportive as possible. Booty don't know what to do anymore. My stepsister says I need to give her time to adjust, but I don't know if I can. Am I a terrible person for doing this? FAQs because answering the same QS over and over is getting really annoying. Yes, she is in therapy and a support group for teens with chronic illnesses. Yes, the animals are hers that she wanted and bought herself. AITA for telling my son I'm not proud of him after he helped his teacher bust half his class cheating. My wife and I have 2 sons, 15 and 9, this relates to the older one. He does pretty good in school, and most of teachers have nothing but good things to say about him. Apparently one of his teachers asked him for help catching some kids cheating. The teacher left some fake test answers on his desk and pretended to go to the bathroom. Our son then showed as many people the answers as possible before the teacher came back in. Then he helped the teacher identify who had looked at he answers. We only heard about this a couple weeks after the fact. Apparently said teacher got into some trouble, because more than half your students failing an exam looks bad for you as well as them. It was only then that our son revealed the part he played, and that some kids at school are angry at him for helping the teacher. I told him that while kids shouldn't be giving him trouble about that, and I'd help stop it if need be, he shouldn't be surprised. I told him he doesn't always need to suck up to authority, and 5 extra points on the test wasn't worth getting 16 other people in trouble. He argued they got themselves in trouble, but I still said he didn't need to help. I basically explained that to the other kids, including his friends. He's saying that he respects the teacher more than he respects them. Nobody will ever trust him after he lied like that. He thought he'd be proud of him, but not for that. All he did was lie to sell out his friends. My wife is on his side, and thinks we should be happy he helped enforce the rules. She argues the kids are solely at fault for looking at the answers, and we should be proud our son helped get some troublemakers in trouble. She also thinks I'm teaching him not to respect authority, and am going to make him think breaking the rules is right.